Welcome to this premium educational note. I am literally so thrilled to have you here today. Think of this session as your own personal global masterclass. We're going to dive into a professional mentorship session where I walk you through the exact strategies you need to future-proof your digital visibility and ultimately build real wealth in the AI search era. Look, we're right in the middle of a massive shift in technology right now, but by the end of this note, you're going to be equipped with industry-grade, Google-level architectural knowledge to stay way ahead of the curve. Okay, let's dive right in. Let's kick things off with a pretty crucial question about the survival of your business. Are your websites, or maybe your clients' startups and digital products, suddenly just disappearing from AI search engines like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity? Because right now, traditional search traffic is dropping across the board. The fundamental reason here is that AI models are completely changing how users find answers. They aren't just giving you 10 blue links anymore, right? They're retrieving, synthesizing, and citing sources directly. If you aren't being cited, well, you're invisible. And that invisibility happens because we're experiencing a massive paradigm shift. The old way of doing things, traditional SEO, was all about chasing ambiguous keywords and crossing your fingers that your exact text string matched a user's query. But today, we're in the era of semantic SEO. This is all about engineering interconnected, machine-understandable knowledge. You're no longer just optimizing a page for an algorithm. You're actively structuring data so that a large language model inherently understands the deep relationships between the concepts you're talking about. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is this just theory? Absolutely not. Real-world data proves this works. When the agency Pixel Mojo deployed a knowledge graph to optimize for AI models rather than just traditional search, they saw an 18.1% spike in active users in just the first week. Actually, it gets better. Their predicted referral traffic literally tripled. The data is clear. When you give AI models concrete structured data to cite, they will actively surface your brand as the authoritative source. So here is the quick syllabus for our mentorship note today. We're going to cover the end of keywords, unpack what knowledge graphs actually are, break down the LLM visibility stack, and then get highly practical with blueprints for building your entity architecture and automating your schema. Finally, we'll talk about the fun part, monetizing these strategies. All right, section 1, the end of keywords. We're moving from strings to things. We have to begin by understanding exactly why the old method of just stuffing keywords is completely dead in the water. Think about the word Python. Is that a programming language? Or is it, a giant snake? As humans, we understand the difference instantly through context. But keywords on their own are incredibly ambiguous. Modern AI pipelines perform something called entity resolution. They map queries to specific, disambiguated concepts in their database to figure out exactly what you're talking about. It's a fundamental shift from matching strings of text to understanding real-world things. Which brings us to section 2. What are knowledge graphs? The architecture of AI. So if AI is suddenly looking for real-world concepts, we have to feed it data in a structure it naturally understands, right? That structure is a knowledge graph. But to build a graph, you first need to understand its foundational building block, the entity. An entity is simply anything that can be uniquely identified. It could be you as a person, your startup, a software platform, or a specific scientific concept. So instead of optimizing around a broad keyword like electric car, you optimize around the clearly defined entity of an electric vehicle and its precise relationship to a brand like Tesla. But here's the absolutely crucial point you need to remember. A knowledge graph is not just a plugin you install. It's something you engineer, cultivate, and continuously refine. Your website has to transform from a collection of flat, disconnected pages into a proprietary intellectual asset. You are basically building a beautifully organized network of knowledge that reflects your unique expertise, your products, and your specific terminology. Let's move to section 3, the LLM visibility stack. This is exactly how AI discovers you. Let's break down the actual mechanics of how a large language model decides to retrieve and cite your content over a competitor's. This is the 5-layer LLM visibility stack you absolutely must build. You start at layer 1 with your entity foundation, clearly defining who you are. Layer 2 is your knowledge graph, mapping how those entities connect. Layer 3 brings in content signals, like statistical claims. Layer 4 is machine-readable context, think robots.txt and schema. And finally, Layer 5 is multi-source authority, bridging your brand across different domains. Most people jump straight to the top layers, but without that solid foundation, the AI simply won't understand your relevance. This before and after comparison of an enhanced entity page perfectly illustrates why that foundation matters so much. When you move from plain HTML to a page enhanced with structured JSON-LD code, which by the way acts as a seamless translation layer for machines, it boosts an AI agent's reasoning accuracy by nearly 30% in RIG systems. The actual facts on the page didn't change at all, but presenting them in a structured way meant the LLM could reliably extract and synthesize your information without hallucinating. That's a game changer. Okay, Section 4, Building Your Entity Architecture. Let's get into the practical blueprint. Understanding the stack is great, but how do we actually build this architecture for your own startups or clients? Well, first things first, audit your core entities. If your business has a proprietary framework, that's an entity. Next, define them using schema.org types like organization or defined term. Then give them a permanent digital address, a stable @ID URI, which basically acts like a fixed GPS coordinate for your data. Finally, use relationship links like same as and works for to bridge your brands together. For example, if you're the founder, link your personal site's person entity directly to your company's organization entity. You're explicitly spelling out for the AI how the pieces of your world fit together. Moving right along to Section 5, Automation and Schema Orchestration, Scaling Your Graph. Because as your site grows to hundreds or thousands of pages, doing this manually, it's virtually impossible. This is where you see the massive difference between basic schema and orchestrated schema. Basic schema is just a pile of disconnected index cards. It tells the AI isolated facts. But orchestrated schema? That is a traversable relational database. You don't want to just paste flat JSON-LD code. You need to nest your schema architectures so AI models can trace the deep relational context, from your article to the author to the organization, all the way down to the core expertise. So, how exactly do we automate this whole shebang? Basically, you crawl your site to extract clean text, and then use AI tools like Google Cloud NLP or LangChain to automatically pull out the entities. Next, you map their relationships, like Company X offers Service Y. Then, you auto-generate your nested JSON-LD using a central registry as your single source of truth. Finally, you set up automated validation gates in your publishing pipeline to catch any errors before they go live. By using AI to extract entities and dynamically generate your schema, your knowledge graph automatically scales right alongside your business. Honestly, this is your ultimate competitive advantage. And that brings us to Section 6, Monetizing Semantic SEO, Your Future Advantage. Let's get down to business. How does mastering all of these advanced strategies translate into serious digital income and career growth? Well, enterprise organizations are desperately trying to adapt to AI search right now. Your ability to engineer machine-readable knowledge is an incredibly lucrative, highly sought-after skill. You can command premium rates as a consultant, build automated RAG-ready systems for massive clients, or entirely future-proof your own SaaS and e-commerce ventures. By doing this, you're creating proprietary data moats. You aren't just participating in the AI economy. You are actively providing the exact structured intelligence that the top AI models desperately rely on to function. I want to leave you with this thought-provoking question to end our note today. The AI economy does not care how many thousands of flat pages you publish. It aggressively rewards structure, context, and connectivity over raw volume. And guess what? You now possess the blueprint to engineer that exact structure. So step into the digital economy with confidence. What automated knowledge graph are you going to build first? Thank you so much for joining me in this masterclass, and I literally can't wait to see what you build.